are live with yoga and wellness coach Debarati Raychaudhuri for episode 4 of the Better Life Blueprint. I am Anandika Sood, and we have an hour full of interesting conversation on a holistic approach to our health, mental and physical well-being. And the reason why Devrati is the right person to talk about all this is because you will not find people truly and fully dedicated to a cause like Devrati. In her previous avatar, as an engineer working a corporate job, she realized her true calling was yoga. And this is the episode today is dedicated to making people aware about what yoga actually is, what is the fad, what is the myth, and how to use yoga in today's time and for today's needs. Welcome, Devrati. So good to have you here with us today evening. How are you?
Thank you, Anandika. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And it's been a pleasure always. Like whenever I be with you, I feel very connected. So thanks for having me.
It is in fact personal story time. I have known Devrati for more than 5 6 years now. She's my first yoga guru and my mentor, as far as physical wellness and mental wellness go hand in hand. Like I mentioned, I love her for her holistic approach to health. um, I have thoroughly enjoyed the 2 years of yoga classes where we worked very very closely, and we've always held great admiration for each other, which is going to be on show tonight. So let's start the Better Life Blueprint. Debu, I would like you to start with helping our audience, first of all, understand the true essence and true meaning of yoga. People think that yoga is a tool for weight loss, yoga is a tool for learning to stay calm and composed. But we would like you to tell us what yoga actually is.
So, Anandika, that if we have gone through the previous sessions, they were all talking about that how to get a better life. I mean, that the communication coach, she talks about talking your truth or staying staying with your true self. And if you have listened to, I mean, if I have listened to the manifestation coach, she's been talking about asking the right question to the universe. Same
Right.
with Alpa, what I've seen that she was asking about looking at the vulnerabilities, which we call shadows. But everything is focusing on to looking within. Okay. So yoga actually it is a method which trains your nervous system to how to look within. Okay, so this is a method by which we learn the art of looking within, looking at yourself, and this is what it's all about. So if you have heard about a song, I mean, which is composed by A. Rahman and which done beautifully by Ritik Roshan, that मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ, मैं ऐसा ही क्यों हूँ. So getting that question, that existential question, that why am I here, or why am I, who am I, or why am I the way am I here? So getting that answer, like the method by which we get to know it, it's actually about yoga, all about yoga.
How wonderful. How wonderful you've been able to bring all the four episodes in line, and I love it. Everybody, all four our guests so far have really truly spoken about looking within for answers, getting yourself in alignment to figure out what you want, and yoga shows you the way how you achieve that. Tell us more about how. Now that I'm completely interested in the how part, we will come to the why part in a bit.
So it is basically yoga is a style of living, the art of living, we call it. So we have various processes. It starts with asana, then from the asana, when you still the mind, because when why we do asana, because when we do asana, we actually hold ourselves into certain postures and just fix our drishti, set our breathing into it. And the way we do it, then we can gain a certain kind of silence in the body. With that silence, we start to see the breath. I mean, like we can start manipulating our breath. And the more we can start handling the breath, it takes us to a state which goes deeper inside us. And we see that the inner world is getting alive. We can see all our patterns in the mind. So
Hmm.
that's why we get all the questions what we are, why something is troubling me, why, how the person I am. I mean, morning, I'm a very calm person. Evening, I'm a little depressed. So why all these are going on? Unless and until you become still, you look within, you won't get the answer. So yoga prepares us through methods. But the good part of yoga is like it's very technique based. It's all about technicalities. That's why asanas are the one which prepares the body and the
Hmm.
mind. Then pranayama is the breath, which is preparing our nervous system, and
Hmm.
ultimately it leads to meditation. So, which
Right.
helps us to lead us to that. I mean, see ourselves,
Create
whatever
the
is going on.
mindfulness.
Yeah, see
Right.
that what's thought are going on inside the mind. So, this is what it's all about.
So just to sum it up, what you said, you become more observant of yourself by
Exactly.
doing yoga. So yoga is a method, a technique that helps you become more present with yourself, more observant of yourself, first via breathing, then via asanas, and then maybe when you eventually go into meditation, you're able to see and identify your patterns, and that is where the rest of the
Exactly.
work starts to come in.
Yeah, it's all about training your focus. So, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness means that at this moment,
Hmm.
where you are, I mean, like how much you are into this moment, that is all about your mindfulness. I mean, any given moment, if you
Hmm.
are, whatever you are doing, and if you're too much with it, that means you're mindful. That only doesn't mean that you are mindful when you are doing something, you're looking within. It can be,
Hmm.
you can be mindful when you are talking to some other person too, but how
Right.
seamlessly you can take the focus from outside to in or inside out. So that is what is the training it's all about.
Okay. Yoga generally, like I said in the beginning also, is associated at these times currently. If I look at a lot of conversations I've had with a lot of other people,
Hmm.
it is one looked at as a tool for weight loss, as a
Hmm.
stress management tool.
Hmm. Hmm.
So would you agree to that, or would you like to counter that? That it is a tool, we've established that, but is it just a tool for weight loss? There is a lot of conversation around, at least within the circles where women, 40 plus years old women are, a lot of focus is on strength training, and there in those conversations I've heard that yoga doesn't come in to the picture. You have to really do the weights. So what is your take on all these three things?
Yeah, so it's a big debate that yoga or strength training, if you ask
Hmm.
me.
Yeah.
So, strength training and yoga, if you want to, I mean, like, ask me to compare, strength
Hmm.
training is, and because I have to first say that the purpose of both the exercises are very different. Strength training is basically when you're training your body with external weights,
Hmm.
and especially weight training, which we call, and
Hmm.
it actually helps you. It's a brilliant form of workout, and it helps with you with your muscle mass, gaining the bone strength, and it helps you to regulate hormones definitely, and it's also time tested. So weight training, in a way, it's a brilliant form of workout. But yoga, the purpose of yoga, if you see,
Hmm.
yes, it is a very ancient body weight training. It's a brilliant body weight training, and it has various postures, and all the postures nourishes every part of the body, like from your toenail to your head. We have yoga for everything. But apart from asanas, if you see that, it not only trains the body, it trains your mind. Okay,
Hmm.
it trains your awareness, it trains your alertness, it trains like your mind body coordination, it's mind muscle coordination, your proprioception. There are a lot of factors in fitness. It's not that one factor that I have to build muscle. It's like you're building muscle, at the same time you're training your breath, you're training your nervous system, at the same time you're training your focus. So that's why yoga is not for just a physical exercise, it's beyond that. And you're doing it consciously. You can hear music, you can hear podcast, and you can do exercise. I mean, like weight training, but you
Right.
can't do yoga because your body and mind needs to be at one place to do yoga. Asanas are designed in such a way, if your mind, body, breath, and drishti, all four things are not in at one place, you cannot perform it. So that's why you have to fully surrender to it. So that is the difference. So the, and also, if I have to mention what is the main purpose of yoga, main purpose of yoga is like you have to prepare your body, you have to prepare your spine in such a way so that you can sit in one posture, which we call sukhasana or any asana posture, and you can do the pranayama. So that is the main purpose of yoga. It's just not the body, it's just not the mind. It's like transcend from body, mind, and be one with yourself, with the inner world. So that
Wow.
is what the difference is. I mean, if you see purpose wise, one is physical, one is much more muscular, and one is more about focus, training the mind, and ultimately leading towards meditation.
Right, right. So I, in my understanding, then of course yoga takes an upper hand because you get एक के साथ एक मुफ्त 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 in the process of attaining that asan. Maybe you there are multiple benefits uh, that come alongside. That is not to say that training is any less or anything, but yes, thank you for this clarity, because I know a lot of people associate yoga with either sitting quietly or getting into an asana, or from one asana to another, moving their body with this weight, with resolving their weight issues. But I think it is you said it perfectly, that it is more than just that. It is the mind, body, and the entire process of going within, that is relevant to doing yoga. And that should be, I think, the the core concept with which anybody should approach yoga, that this is going to benefit me in multiple ways.
But
Now,
let me just to, I mean, add something over here. So, I mean, with time, yoga also have evolved. Okay, so now because we are also having a very fast-paced life, and what we can see that our body languages are very limited. So we are not sitting, we are not doing all physical work all the time. We're sitting, sitting, sitting. So that's why we don't have enough movement. That's why, with keeping pace with the modern world, yoga has now various formats. Earlier, it was all classical yoga, hatha yoga, that is like holding one posture and staying there for as long as possible. But because of present lifestyle, we need movement in all the parts of the body. That's why, I mean, like Vinyasa yoga also came to practice. I mean, like this is again, it's a flow, like one posture to another. So, I mean, based on your needs, there are various types of yoga. So one is classical hatha yoga, one is vinyasa yoga. There is very similar to vinyasa yoga, which we call ashtanga yoga. It is a, I mean, like brilliant body weight training, I would say. The
okay.
superlative form of workout. You have to be absolutely fit to do that. And then there are yogas like yin yoga, restorative yoga, which is for pure relaxation. So
Hmm.
it's based on your need. There are various forms of yoga, and you have to pick the one which you are looking for. If you're an athlete, then maybe hatha yoga is something which is okay with you because you're moving. You have a lot of movement in the body. So here you are just becoming still and training the nervous system, the breath coming, I mean, bringing relaxation. Suppose you're a person who doesn't go to gym, who has no other like physical activity, so that person can always go for the vinyasa yoga, or if you are strong enough, you can opt for Ashtanga yoga. And suppose whoever, I mean, like, want to just release the stress, any day you can go to restorative yoga or yin yoga, and then you can just see that what kind of sleep you are getting at night. It's like the relaxation, mental and body relaxation. You'll be feeling like leather, feather. So that is what I have to talk about yoga. So these are the different forms of yoga.
To each uh, to attain a goal, you have a form of yoga. And there
Yeah,
have been these masters. Everybody, I think, knows their names: the Iyengar school of yoga and Bikram
yeah,
school of yoga, and I'm
yeah.
sure many more.
So you have to
Many.
educate yourself based on your priority. I mean, like you
Exactly.
nowadays there are a lot of yes forms of yoga. You have to, I mean, ask little bit. You have to search little bit, and so that you can get something which is based on your lifestyle.
Right. You also repeatedly mentioned breath. Let's talk about pranayam. Is it just so if my memory serves me right, yoga became part of our public consciousness thanks to Baba Ramdev.
Yeah,
And initially, I think Anulom Vilom or Brahmri, and these words came into our dictionary, even though we belong to India and yoga is ours, came into
true,
our everyday communication, everyday conversation, thanks to Baba Ramdev.
true.
But coming from the idea that you have given us, that yoga is not only about doing a thing, it is more, then
Hmm.
how does pranayam break that word for us to understand it better? And how does pranayam and moving your body in asanas? Where is the connection? How does that happen? How does that fall in place?
See, moving your body, and I mean, like, I'm coming to that later. But the thing is that pranayama, it's mostly about how you are manipulating your breath. And yogis have found that, like, if you can expand your breath, or if you can work on your breath, you can expand your vitality. You can be more energetic. Okay, because your prana, it's something through, I mean, which we can access through your breath, which we can access through your swasa. So if we can take a very, I mean, like a particular way of deep breath in and breathe out,
Hmm.
then we can regulate the prana. Basically, it works in our nervous system. Suppose we are into a very stress mode right now, and our breathing gets faster. We can feel the heartbeat. I mean, like our
Yeah.
palms are sweaty, and
Yeah.
that can happen a lot of time. Suppose, and that time, if you can take a long deep breath in,
Hmm.
and if you can release the breath slowly and gently, you can see slowly, slowly after breathing like for some time,
Hmm.
that your mind, your actually body state shift from that state of flight or fight to
Hmm.
rest and digest. That is that shift we call is like from the sympathetic nervous system, we move to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is like rest and digest. So that is what yogis have invented long before. And there is a vagus nerve in our body, like from the word vagabond, like which goes everywhere. That
Hmm.
nerve is like the 10th cranial nerve, and it from your brain it goes all the way to all our organs, major organs, which shows stress some way. So by controlling, but you can control the nerve with your breath. And what type
Ah.
of breath? With a very slow breathing. So now if you can inhale and exhale even slower pace, so you can change your breathing state.
Can I do it?
Okay.
Like, can we try it just for a minute here?
Yeah,
Guide
definitely.
and
So, but before that, I mean, let me tell you something like that. So,
Mhm.
something more about this one. So, I mean, like for just if you do that kind of breathing, so you
Mhm.
can attain, you can, and after 4 5 minutes, you can get it to that mode. But also, I have to mention something like the yogis, what they have seen that if your mind is constantly moving, that time, if you can hold your breath, you can stop
Okay.
the thought. Okay, so that
Like,
is the main purpose of pranayama. One is definitely it's like vagal toning. You're shifting from one state of nervous system to the another state. But
right.
more than that, it's all about if you hold your breath, breathing, and then you are stopping the mind. Because when your mind is breath is moving, your mind is also moving. Suppose you are very anxious and your
Hmm.
mind is just thinking, thinking, thinking. Then at that time, if you stop your breath, you can stop the thinking. So this is what like we call kumbhak in yoga. So the whole purpose of pranayama is to retain the breath, but that doesn't happen in a day. This is not just, I mean, like you are sitting and you can do kumbhak. You have to train. You have to that. It has stages like energizing pranayama, then
Hmm.
tranquilizing pranayama, then the balancing pranayama. So through various state and with lot of self discipline and with teacher,
Hmm.
so you can retain the breath. And this is what the main purpose of pranayama. But and after that we expanded, so there are other methods. But what you were talking about, like how to shift the nervous system, so
Hmm.
there's a very beautiful method I want to talk about, which is like belly breath. Okay, belly breath means, remember that it's just not a yogic, I mean, it is definitely a part of yogic breathing, but we don't need a lot of training to have that. It's like we
Okay.
can sit on the chair and we can do it. Okay,
Okay.
so in this form of breathing, suppose you are sitting up tall, but remember always that the lower part of the lungs, if we can send the breath there, relaxation happens.
Okay.
Or when we are like stressed, anxious, it happens, the breath happens at the top part of your lungs. So it's we call chested breathing. Okay, but when we send the breath anyway all the way down to the lungs, then it
Hmm.
expands the lung space and it gives you that instant relief. So for that, belly
Hmm.
breathing is I mean, a very I mean, like famous one. So just for that, you just sit up tall and hold your spine straight, shoulder relax. Okay, just soften your shoulders, and now just through your nostrils, very gently take a long deep inhalation. You don't have to count anything. Just take the breath in, a very soft breath, and fill up the belly. Fill up the belly means you are sending the breath all the way down to the bottom part of your lungs. When you're sending that,
Hmm.
there's a muscle called diaphragm that pushes the belly out. So breathe into the belly. Not only
Hmm.
the front of the belly, the side, the back, everything is expanding. And now slowly release the breath out, and the belly goes in. Very good. Very slowly. Very slowly. Just release it out. Again, one more time. Take a long, deep inhalation and try to expand the breath back, side, front, like a pot. Yes, very good. Excellent. And now release it out very slowly. Release the breath out. And see when you're releasing, you feel a sense of softening in the body. Very good. Excellent. Take your time. No hurry. Again, one more time. Inhale. Excellent. Expand the belly. All four sides of the belly in a 360-degree manner. Just hold for a few seconds and now release the breath out as slowly as possible. Excellent. Very good. So after doing this for 4 minutes, I mean, you can feel a sense of release, and whatever thoughts were going on your mind, you can just get rid of this in some way.
Wow, I did not want to come out of that, and I can think of 100 case scenarios where this would be helpful. There are times when even in my mind, there's this constant chatter because there are 30 things to do at the same time. There is the housework, there are children to look at, there are the older members of the family that need your attention. For young people in their work lives, there are new assignments, there are peer pressure, there is something from the above that is on their head. I mean make a long list of situations where just doing this, just going
Yes.
with your pet would make a hell of a difference. It's like
And breath is like always accessible. It's always with you. The most handy tool, if you can ask me, one is breathing like this, and another one is if you sigh out through your mouth. Okay? If you sigh out through your mouth, that is also, I mean, it gives you an instant relief. So you can try these two things anytime, and it's a natural tendency. I mean, we don't have to learn yourself. I mean, teach
mm,
yourself all these things. So we are all like we do those things whenever we are into the stress. We just try to do this kind of body movement. We shrug our shoulders and we breathe out from the mouth. Those are the natural tendencies body is telling you. So the more you listen to them, you can get more relief.
that I think is the key word. If you listen to them,
Yeah.
which I think in our constant chatter happening in our heads and with constant pressures and demands of this life does not happen. So I think if anybody takes away anything from this today, the two things. Breath is always accessible to you. You don't have to go looking for it. You don't need tools. You don't need anything but your own self to breathe, and how we've just shown you how to do that. And remember that this is the most important, valuable tool in your journey for better mental, physical, and whatever aspects of your health that concern you. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Uh, I am also intrigued by the fact, uh, Debu, that when you were talking about these various arms of yoga, I want to take a moment and go back to the starting point of yoga, and it came as a very fantastic surprise to me when I was doing my research, and I had heard it from one another teacher that Patanjali, who gave us yoga, and this is not fiction, was a saint in the form of a serpent, or a serpent in the form of saint. Why don't you share a little bit about this, just for our education, and uh, really very interesting, something that I think everybody should know.
Yeah. So Maharshi Patanjali, I mean, like during the time of Vedas, he was, I mean, a Maharshi, a learned being, what realized being, what we call Maharshi means. So
Mm-hmm.
that Maharshi Patanjali, he compiled uh, Yoga Sutra, which is the kind of a rule book of yoga. It's basically a philosophy. Okay, it's a philosophy, but a very different kind of a philosophy. There are a lot of interesting facts about the philosophy. So that time in ancient world, I mean ancient India, we always care for the spoken words.
Hmm.
We never care about the written words. That's why in Yoga Sutra, Patanjali speaks. So it
Yes.
got written lot later, but when he compiled it, it's actually he speaks about this Yoga Sutra. And that time, due to this Guru Shishya tradition, it's passed
Hmm.
on to that. I mean, like passed on from generation after generation, and then, uh, like Lot later it got compiled. But the thing is that that subject has so many, I mean, like, people has taken it so seriously that now also after so many years, not a single has been missed from this whole thing.
Hmm.
So this is one aspect of Yoga Sutra. It's been written, and it is a philosophy, but it's a very different kind of a philosophy. It's not a philosophy about description.
Hmm.
Okay, we call it spiritual science. He has given us sutras. I mean, like, there's a big question and he is giving answers in one or two lines.
Hmm.
Okay, so this is a very special kind of thing, and it's here. Patanjali is not asking you to believe about something, he's giving you technique. If you
Hmm.
can do it, then
Hmm.
you get certain answers. So in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, I mean,
Hmm.
like, where he is giving a definition of yoga, where it's saying that yogas chitta vritti nirodha means yogas means yoga. Nirodha means settles down. What? Chitta vritti, the cyclic pattern of our mind. Okay, so it's, I'm not, mind means it's not just the mind. This
Hmm.
conscious mind is just the tip of the iceberg, and there's a huge subconscious mind, and everything works in a pattern inside the mind.
Hmm.
Okay, suppose you have a friend, like in your college days, and that friend had, you had a very, I mean, like, kind of that friend ditched you, and it was not a sad, I mean, it is a very sad one, and
Hmm.
still that thought is there in your mind. Suppose
Hmm.
that friend looks like me, and the moment
Okay.
you remember, I mean, look at me, that memory will come alive. Again, if
Okay.
you see a movie and the friend is also there in the, I mean, somebody is looking, I'm sitting in the movie, and that person's hair look like your friend, that will
Hmm.
make you remember. So this suffering will be on, and the memories will be on. But
Hmm.
when you do yoga, you understand those patterns, like what is troubling me, and like it's suffering me. At one time, the more you do yoga and you come in contact with those kind of emotion, you can make peace with that person. Later, you can go to the friend and you can meet the friend's family, husband, everybody. You won't be feeling any kind of those negative emotions when you will be seeing it. So that's kind of the purpose of yoga. It settles down all the chitta vrittis, means the CCM, like the cyclic pattern of thoughts in the mind, so that you attain peace. Our center, our core
Hmm.
being is actually very peaceful. It's all the distractions are at the periphery in the form of maybe happiness, sadness, lot of repentance. I mean, so what not? I mean, so many emotions, but those are not me. Those are like my life experiences brought us to that. My
Hmm.
core being is absolutely silent, it's peaceful, it's full of love and compassion. And through yoga, I can come back to it. Through that silence, I'm telling you now, after yogasana practice, you feel a sudden kind of silence.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
moment you come to the silence, you would understand that this may be not my thought. I can stay with something else. I can stay with me. And that's how you can bring out your truest potential. You can be best at whatever you are doing, because those are the tensions, thoughts, whatever we call it, pain, sadness, these are all at the periphery. And I am, at my core, is a very silent being, and I move from there. So if you see a yogi's mind, it's like a placid lake. If you
I was
drop
waiting for it.
something, yeah, you drop something in a form of like bad memory or something, it
Hmm.
goes there, yogi experiences, and then it drops down. But if it falls in our mind, there will be that ripple. Constantly, there will be the ripple going on and on and on. So this is the purpose of doing yoga, and yoga. That's why Patanjali told yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Why? Just to tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam, so that the drashta, the seer, stands in its own light, means in its truest nature. So this is what I can say about Maharshi Patanjali, and it's a beautiful technology, I would say. We all should have that, especially the Indians, because it's such a time-tested method. Again, I'm saying it's been there for millennia, and it's still, I mean, like, not losing its relevance 1%. We're just having it more and more. Everybody is
Yeah,
appreciating. So
I
we
think
must
it's
be knowing about it. Yeah.
more and more relevant with every curveball that comes our way, be it COVID, be it whatever else is happening around the world.
Because of the distraction, my life is now full of distraction. I don't know which I am. I mean, like, which version of me is actually me. My phone is saying too many versions of me. I can choose this, I can choose that, but which I am, the actual self of me. And so coming back to it, So it's like knowing yourself. It's called yoga.
And I think that that would be an entire game changing thing, because once you realize, like you spoke about these emotions and these feelings and this set of persons that we become in that quest, you realize that these do not even belong to you. They are acquired from your
Exactly,
experiences and
exactly,
circumstances.
exactly. We become so compulsive that, I mean, like, out of jealousy, we do what not. But
Hmm, hmm,
actually, maybe the reason is it's not actually me. I mean, like, what, it's not my truest nature, but I'm becoming that. So you can get rid of that
hmm,
through yoga practice. But also adding to that, I mean, asana pranayama is definitely very important. But also Patanjali told us about way of living. I mean, like, which is a, like, the way we can connect to the outer world. There is a
hmm,
social self of us, and how
hmm,
the social self is going to be, and
hmm,
how we are going to have a connection with ourselves, which is basically our emotional intelligence. So how to, if we deal with these two things really well, and there are certain ways of staying like that, then we can achieve focus. I mean, a
hmm,
person, if you do yoga pranayama, you can be very fit, you can have six packs abs, you can sit tall, you can be here, but you can't get the composure. So if you have to have the composure, then you have to live a certain kind of life,
hmm.
and that comes naturally with your yoga pranayama practice. Basically, you are sorting out your life. The more you have sorted out your life, you can have a focused mind.
No, it is a very commonly said thing, and I think people who walk the path would say it to
Hmm.
others. Look within for
Hmm.
answers, but it is very difficult to decipher what is that within. How do you go
Hmm.
uh, within? I think I've spoken about it before also, because it had been so with me also. For certain questions, my own parents or somebody closer to me would has given me this guidance that look within, find out more about yourself, get to know yourself. And this has all been so out of reach and intangible, but you make it so easy to understand and so wonderful that I don't think anybody who's watching this would not succumb to that practice, uh, and get the most out of it. I would have spoken about these other feelings that keep coming: jealousy, stress, anxiety, everything that impacts our health physically, mentally, uh, metabolically. Uh, there's a lot of talk about trauma and how body stores trauma. A lot of it probably can be dealt under the guidance of a good instructor, a good guru, a, and we can be equipped with these tools to take charge, better charge, in fact, better charge of our own selves and state of mind. uh, another another aspect that I associate with yoga and practice is mindfulness. For me, sitting in maybe sukhasana or vajrasan and doing certain breath work uh, helps helps me, one, quieten my mind and come to the fact, which again, a Chinese saying sums it perfectly, that when making tea, make tea. When making tea, make tea.
Hmm.
You're
Hmm.
fully involved in what you're doing at a certain point, right? What do you have to say and tell us about mindfulness? What does it mean? Why should I strive for mindfulness? In fact, I think we've got the answer to that already, but still. And how?
So if you ask me that what mindfulness is, you described it, I mean, like, in a brilliant way, that whatever you are doing, if you're totally into that, that means you're mindful.
Hmm,
So, and mindfulness is necessary everywhere. And suppose you are an artist
hmm,
and you are a mindful artist, then you can make your masterpiece. If you're studying a subject and if you're doing it mindfully, if you're totally absorbed into that, you
hmm,
can be a scholar.
hmm,
If you're a football player and if you're playing, I mean, like, with full attention, then only you can be a Ronaldo. But that's just not one day mindfulness. It's like day to day basis. And like, the more you sharpen your mind, I mean, the more you sharpen your awareness, and be with that mindful state for as long as possible, then you can gain success in anything. But more than that, we see that we need to be mindful in our all the relationships. If you're not mindful, if you're not aware, you cannot be a good friend. If you don't understand what your friend is saying, you're not listening to it, you can't be a good friend. So it's an inherent quality we all should have. I mean,
Hmm.
we all should strive for. But you have to see that when we are mindful, when we are focused, that time we are mindful. Okay? When we are stressed, we
Hmm.
lose that mindfulness.
So hang on. I want to break it even further and you know really decode mindfulness with you,
Hmm.
because see, again, my understanding of mindfulness, like I said, and even you mentioned, that
Hmm.
become completely involved with a task. Now, what does that being involved in a task mean? Does it mean that you're not thinking of anything else? Does it mean um, that for uh, for a few minutes, or for a game, like you gave football for example, you are completely oblivious to whatever else is happening? Is that mindfulness? You're only focused on, I have to make a goal. How do I manipulate the players, the field, um, my surroundings to achieve that goal? And then if that is mindfulness, then is it possible for us to stay in that state of mind all through, or does it come and go? And of course, practice would make it easier to maybe switch, but then does it last longer?
So before that, I mean, I want to make you go through some practice. So sit up tall again,
Okay.
and just close your eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, and close your eyes and take your attention between your eyebrow center. Okay, take your awareness between your eyebrow center and just feel that is the point of focus. We call it Agya Chakra. We call it third eye. So just take your mind over there. Now slowly, from there, just be aware of your surrounding. You don't have to take your mind there. You just be aware that whatever happening around you, the temperature of the room, is any sound is coming, but your mind is at the eyebrow center. You're not sending your focus to particular anything, but just be aware.
Hmm.
Okay?
Hmm.
And again, come bring your mind to the point of focus. Again, from the point of focus, just be, I mean, just sense that whatever is around you.
Hmm.
Again, bring your awareness fully to the center of focus. Now open your eyes. Okay, slowly open your eyes. So, suppose you are a football player, you're playing football, and you are aware about your surroundings. Suppose something happened, your mind go there. But again, taking back to your third eye center means your game, which we call like being mindful and also staying aware about your surrounding. Mindful doesn't mean that you are totally into it and whatever is happening,
Hmm.
you but fully, that means you're meditative, but also you have to have an awareness about your surrounding.
About it.
So yeah, so and how easily you are, I mean, like moving your attention from outside in, that's what we train every time through yoga. So you are holding your awareness, you are aware about what is happening around you, but
Hmm.
you are into your own action. So you are with your action. So that is what we call the true definition of mindfulness. If you ask me, it is like that. It's not like just I'm doing one thing and I'm totally lost. Yes, you're totally engrossed. You're also mindful that way.
Hmm.
But if you are a, I mean, like a trained person who can take your attention outward, suppose we are watching a movie, we're totally into the movie.
Hmm.
Our awareness is totally into the movie, and suppose we're doing something engrossed, being doing a meditation, we're totally within.
Hmm.
And mindfulness is like how seamlessly we are taking our awareness from outside in or inside out. That's what the job of the mindfulness people,
Hmm.
or like practicing mindfulness. Sorry.
I have a very interesting question for you here. Why do I need to practice it? What happens when I practice it consistently and constantly? What changes? Like, I did this for a minute, even the breathing exercise that you made me do, and I felt good. Now, why do I need to build it as a practice?
So, did you notice
It's
one
not
thing?
very.
So, did you notice one thing? When you're holding yourself in that way, you're not going towards your thoughts.
Hmm.
You're not going towards any thoughts. You are totally into one point and also the surrounding. So this is the best way we
Hmm.
can get rid of our stress basically.
Hmm.
Okay, so we are coming at one point. So this is the way, I mean, the more we train the mindfulness, the better you can be at any work because our mind is not distracted. I told you earlier, like it's chitta priti. There are a lot of patterns goes on. Suppose I'm just reading something before the exam and suddenly my mind goes 15 years back to an incident where I was looking very slim. Then I thought that I'm not doing anything. So that thought, like, it is very disturbed. The patterns are not very organized. But when we become mindful, we can pay full attention. And it's like a muscle. We have to practice, we have to come back to it. Every day we have to prepare. The more we prepare, the more we do in certain way, like flow state happens. Like we heard about flow state, right? Like
Hmm.
when you're doing something, it's like automatically we are thinking about the podcast. You're just thinking about the podcast. You're thinking like with that, which all questions you're going to ask,
Hmm.
which not to ask, which to ask. So the train of thoughts all are in one direction. So, this is the beauty of mindfulness. The more mindful we are, whatever we do, we take less time. Suppose a mindful child will study and he will just buy her one thing in a few minutes. And
Hmm.
if that
Hmm.
same person, I mean, sorry, a child who is not mindful, he will take a lot of time to go through that same thing because his mind is all over the place. But we have to know that, we have to come back to it, we have to practice it. And we have such a beautiful tool, which is yoga, which can help us to practice through the postures, through the pranayamas, and how to stay. We just pin our thinking mind to our legs when we are holding up, suppose a brikshasana. Everybody has seen a brikshasana.
Hmm.
We are keeping one foot on the ground, one foot placing inside your inner thigh, and reaching your arms up. If
Hmm.
you keep your minds are all over the place, you can't create that mind muscle engagement. If you're pinning your thinking mind at the big toe, at the pelvic floor, lifting it up, holding your
Hmm.
arms up, so you can always be in at one place. You are being mindful. So that is what the real training is all about.
Wow, that was a great example, I think, because holding Vrikshasana with different body parts doing different things really is a wonderful way to see that when you quieten your mind and you're able to bring yourself completely within that asana, you're able to hold it even if it is for a couple of minutes, and
Yeah,
that itself would
exactly.
uh, make you stay in that longer and longer and longer, and then you can.
Having that idea that how that awareness works, I mean, like how it works, it gives you a big, I mean, it's a liberation, I would say. The
Yeah.
moment you can see that some torch light is falling onto you and you're observing yourself all the time, though you are surrounded by everything, but how you're operating from your within. So
Hmm.
that never leaves you. That's kind of the birth of yoga, that state is always with you whatever you are doing, but you're watchful about your behavior. Some compulsive behavior is happening, but you know that what triggered you. You are
Hmm.
aware every moment, and the more we practice this awareness, we can have that understanding, and it won't leave you. Basically, it's making you a better person in every moment, helps you to be a better person. And it not just restrict you to the 1 hour practice or whatever how many hours you practice on the mat. When you come out of the mat, that stays with you.
It stays with you. The
And
longer
for
you.
that, whatever you want to change in life, you
Hmm.
can change it at your own will. So it's like yoga doesn't mean that like some emotion is going to rule me. When you're aware, those emotions actually loses their power. Those lose their power. They
Hmm.
won't overpower you. So you can pick your emotion which you want to become or what which is now at this moment important to be with. Basically, it's like having the power. Nothing can control you. You can control all the things, whatever based on your need.
Hmm. Right. Wow. I've had so many light bulb moments during this conversation, and although we speak about it very often, you and me, and we've often had these conversations, there still is so much to know and so much to learn about yoga, and you yourself say that you're a lifelong student.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful, Bebo. I think the audience, like me, would have had so many aha moments during this conversation, and I really hope that they will take quite a bit of this conversation seriously and build a practice that suits them. You've shown the path, There are so many different options available. There's so many people readily available. It is all about
Your
investing in
commitment.
oneself, and
Your
yes,
commitment. Yeah.
commitment to your growth. That's true. That's true. And again, it aligns beautifully with the concept and the reason why we are doing this show, to help people figure out things at this micro level and then take it further however it suits them and build their lives in a better way, and hence the better life blueprint.
True.
Thank you for taking out
Thank
time
you.
to do this. I know you must have put a class on hold or two, but thank you, and thank you to your students in that sense also for freeing you up for us. I hope everybody who's been listening to us has had a great time. I've had a wonderful time. I always have it with.
Same here.
Thank you. But I hope that there is a lot that you will come back to, listen again, try and digest. If you have any questions, I'm sure Debrati would be more than happy to take out some time to answer them in any of our posts. Please do write to us about how you like this episode, how did you like this conversation, and more of what you would like to hear in the coming episodes. I will see you very soon with another interesting episode of the Bet Life Blueprint. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.